Imagine a world where every fleeting thought, every internal monologue, and every secret whisper in our minds could be heard by others. It may sound like science fiction, but with the rapid advancements in AI technology, we are inching closer to a reality where this concept could be more than just a fantasy. Today, AI and brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, are making extraordinary strides, enabling machines to interpret the signals from our brains in ways that were once thought impossible. If humans could hear each other's thoughts, the world as we know it would be radically transformed, socially, emotionally, and politically. At its core, the idea of hearing one another's thoughts is deeply unsettling, yet undeniably fascinating. The boundaries between privacy and transparency would collapse. No longer would we be able to hide our innermost feelings or thoughts. AI, equipped with sophisticated algorithms and neural decoders, could potentially tap into the electromagnetic patterns of our brains, translating them into words and phrases that others could hear. Imagine a society where every thought was no longer private, but broadcasted to anyone around us in real time. How would this affect our personal relationships, communication, and even the structure of society itself? The first and most obvious consequence would be the breakdown of privacy. In a world where thoughts are no longer private, there would be nowhere to hide our true emotions or opinions. Imagine being in a conversation with a friend, only for your deepest insecurities or judgments to be laid bare before them. The facade of politeness and social niceties that we currently rely on would disappear, replaced by an unsettling transparency. Social interactions could become excruciatingly raw and vulnerable, with no room for the selective filtering of information we currently take for granted. On the other hand, this newfound openness could lead to a deeper understanding and empathy between individuals. Misunderstandings, which often arise from the inability to express our feelings or intentions clearly, could be mitigated. If we could hear what someone truly thought, we might be able to connect with them in ways we never could before. The complexities of human interaction would become clearer, as the line between what people say and what they truly think would be non-existent. This could create a more compassionate society, where assumptions are replaced by genuine understanding and dialogue. Yet, the emotional consequences could be overwhelming. The human brain is full of contradictory thoughts, confusion, doubt, joy, anger, and longing, all jumbled together. If we could hear each other's mental cacophony, the sheer weight of emotion might be too much to bear. The delicate balance of our mental privacy, our internal dialogues that allow us to process complex feelings, could be shattered. Imagine hearing someone's unspoken frustrations, or worse, hearing the hurtful thoughts they've kept hidden for years. Will we be able to navigate this mental landscape without becoming emotionally drained or desensitized to the intensity of human emotion? Furthermore, AI technology's role in this scenario could take things to an entirely new level. As we move closer to achieving full neural interfaces, AI systems could not only translate thoughts into language but also enhance our understanding of them. They could map the emotional tones and underlying context behind every thought, offering a more nuanced interpretation. This could lead to the development of highly advanced communication systems that allow us to understand each other's thoughts with remarkable precision. On the surface, this sounds like an incredible leap forward, but it also raises significant ethical concerns. How much access should we grant AI into the depths of our minds? Will we be able to control or limit the flow of our thoughts to others, or would AI have the power to expose everything, regardless of our will? This would inevitably bring about massive shifts in how we perceive privacy, consent, and autonomy. In a world where AI could translate our thoughts, the question of consent would become paramount. Could we, as individuals, opt in or out of this thought-sharing process? Would people be able to silence their minds or restrict certain thoughts from being broadcast? If AI technology could read and transmit our thoughts without our consent, it would represent a significant breach of our personal autonomy, leaving us vulnerable to manipulation, exploitation, or worse, control by powerful entities. Moreover, the ethical implications of hearing each other's thoughts go beyond privacy. It would introduce an entirely new way of policing behavior. The very notion of thought crime could evolve from a dystopian fiction into a real-world concern. If AI could identify and expose our most intimate desires, prejudices, or prejudgments, would society deem it acceptable to punish or rehabilitate people based on their unspoken thoughts? How would we navigate the murky waters between intention and action, between private fantasies and public responsibility? The political ramifications could be even more extreme. Imagine a world where politicians' inner thoughts, however unsavory, manipulative, or self-serving, were exposed to the public. The power dynamics between leaders and citizens could shift dramatically. Campaigns could no longer rely on carefully crafted speeches and polished personas. The public's trust in their elected officials could either increase due to complete transparency, or it could completely erode if the raw thoughts of those in power revealed their true motivations. The consequences of this transparency in the political arena could be far-reaching, with the potential for both. Despite the potential dangers, there is an undeniable allure to the idea of hearing each other's thoughts. It represents a utopia of perfect understanding and communication, a world where no one is misunderstood, where empathy reigns supreme, and where connections are forged on the deepest level. Yet, this utopia comes with a high cost. The loss of mental privacy, the potential for manipulation, and the collapse of personal autonomy would be steep sacrifices to pay. Perhaps, as with all technological advances, the true challenge lies not in the creation of such technology, but in determining how we choose to wield it. The question, then, is not just about whether we could develop AI systems capable of hearing our thoughts, but whether we should. Would the benefits of perfect communication and understanding outweigh the profound ethical and personal risks? In a world where thoughts could be shared, would we become more human, or would we lose the very essence of what it means to be an individual? The future of AI holds extraordinary potential, but as we move closer to this new reality, we must ask ourselves if we are truly ready for a world where thoughts are no longer private, and where our innermost selves are no longer just our own. Compliments would lose their sweetness if followed by private judgments, and apologies would feel heavier when their sincerity could be measured in real time. Society would be forced to confront a terrifying question: are we prepared to face not just who others truly are, but who we ourselves have always been? In such a world, relationships would transform beyond recognition. Love would no longer rely on promises or words, because devotion, jealousy, and hesitation would echo clearly inside the mind. Trust would become absolute or impossible, with no comfortable middle ground. Some bonds would deepen into unbreakable unity, while others would collapse under the weight of unspoken resentment. Families might discover hidden sacrifices made in silence, yet also stumble upon buried regrets that were never meant to surface. Emotional intimacy would be unavoidable, intense, and sometimes unbearable. Politics, power, and leadership would face their greatest reckoning. Lies would evaporate the moment they were formed, exposing manipulation, greed, and hidden agendas before they could spread. Leaders would rise not on speeches, but on the purity of their intentions. Wars might end faster when hatred and fear are exposed for what they truly are, yet conflicts could also ignite instantly when collective anger becomes audible. The human mind, once private territory, would turn into the most powerful weapon and the most fragile battlefield. Creativity and innovation would explode in unimaginable ways. Artists would feel the emotions of their audience as they create, shaping music, stories, and images that resonate at a deeper frequency than ever before. Collaboration would become effortless as ideas connect mid-thought, eliminating misunderstanding and delay. Yet originality might suffer, as inspiration becomes shared too easily, blurring the line between individual genius and collective consciousness. The struggle to protect one's unique inner voice would become the new artistic challenge. Mental health would enter a new era of exposure and vulnerability. Pain, anxiety, and loneliness would no longer be hidden behind forced smiles. Compassion could finally replace judgment as people hear the silent battles others fight every day. At the same time, the inability to escape one's own thoughts reflected back by others could overwhelm fragile minds. Humanity would be forced to redefine boundaries, learning when to listen and when to shield the mind for survival. Ultimately, a world where humans can hear each other's thoughts would demand a higher level of emotional evolution. Kindness would no longer be optional, because cruelty would echo loudly in every shared mind. Self-awareness would become the most valuable skill, as every negative impulse carries immediate consequence. Humanity would either rise into a more honest, empathetic species, or collapse under the weight of its own unfiltered truth. The future of such a world would not depend on technology or rules, but on